Hey everyone, this is Daniel from PhoneArena, looking at the Sony Ericsson Xperia A, a teeny tiny smartphone, which is one of the thinnest and lightest out there. It looks stylish and comes in several different colors, like this here red, also blue and gold, but the shiny black mirrored front stays the same as you can see here. The Xperia A was the first to sport the new frontal design of the Xperia line, with this big semicircle here, a physical home key in the middle, which is easier to press than the thin arch keys we had before. This size is just right for the handset not to get completely lost in your palm if you have bigger hands like mine, and you can reach with your thumb easily everywhere on the screen, and this makes it very suitable for one-handed operation. The other notable thing is the 3.3-inch display, not in terms of size, but resolution. The 480 by 854 pixels make text crisp and details plenty when visiting websites or reading. It is also very good with viewing angles, most likely an IPS LCD display, and sports above average brightness for improved outside visibility. The back hosts the 8 megapixel camera with Sony's Exmor R sensor. And we also have dual mix here for noise cancellation. We have a front-facing camera for video chat, unlike its bigger sibling, the Xperia Arc. It doesn't have the HDMI port on the Xperia Arc though, just this micro USB port here on the left-hand side, which sometimes messes with handling the phone when the cable is plugged in, as it's so small. The Xperia A is svelte and pretty on the outside, but let's take a look how the user interface looks like as well. We examined the Timescape UX Android overlay extensively in our Xperia Arc review, and while we wouldn't exactly say it's as elaborate as HTC Sense, for example, it is pretty far out there and certainly more visually pleasing than Samsung's TouchWiz, for example. Even if we leave aside as an advantage the new deep social networking integration called Facebook Inside Xperia, which allows you to even see that the Facebook friend who is calling you has a birthday today, and it is intricately woven throughout the interface. Even if we leave that aside, the UI is a beauty with transitional animations and transparencies galore. You almost never see the underlying Android 2.3 Gingerbread interface on the Xperia A, except when you run some Google Services apps or when you enter the gallery, which is your run-of-the-mill standard Android gallery. The 1 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S2 and 512 megs of RAM have proven themselves already in the other phones of the Xperia stable this year, and don't disappoint here too, running the interface smoothly and without lag. Typing on the fairly small touchscreen display of the Sony Ericsson Xperia A isn't very easy, especially with bigger hands, but there's not much you can do about it. Still, both the portrait and landscape keyboards have well-spaced keys, and the screen is just too small for correctly typing on this portrait keyboard in a quick manner. That's why we mainly use the landscape orientation, like that. Unlike what we do on phones with 3.5 plus inch displays. The browser on the Sony Ericsson Xperia A behaves very well. You can do, for example, panning while doing pinch to zoom. And despite that the screen is fairly small at 3.3 inch, the handset wraps text well, and this 480 by 854 pixels of resolution make for a very crisp text, very easy to read, actually, as you can see. You just have to bring the phone closer to your eyes. This Qualcomm chipset powers very decent Adobe Flash display in the browser as well. As you can see, it has no problem even showing Flash video inside this heavily flash-laden website. As you can also hear, the speaker is very loud and very clear, something that's becoming a feature of the Xperia line of Sony Ericsson. The music player has this minimalistic interface, and it allows you to categorize your songs by artists, albums, tracks, and playlists. And you also have a number of equalizers to choose from, about 10 of them. And I have this nice album art background while performing the song. The camera interface is the one we observed that on the Xperia Arc as well. It has a couple of preset capturing modes. This automatic scene recognition one is very good. It recognizes quickly the lighting conditions around you and adjusts accordingly. And that's the only way to shoot in a macro mode, for example. In this auto scene recognition, you just near the lens to some object and the small flower of the macro mode appears, allowing you to capture pictures from up to 6 inches close. The 8 megapixel shooter is with an Exmor R sensor, but the pictures themselves turned out a bit washed out, lacking detail, and the colors were a bit off. The same with the video, which is however smooth at 30 frames per second. The other quibble here is that this button turns on the LED light on the back, but that's about it. It doesn't light up automatically as a regular LED flash. You have to turn it on manually, even in photo mode, not only in video mode, which is a disappointment. Overall, the Sony Ericsson Xperia Array made a very good impression, as it's not a crippled version of the Xperia Arc, just a more compact one. It definitely holds an appeal for the design-conscious or female audience with a stylish, thin and a very light exterior, which is available in different colors. The Timescape UX interface in its turn is also a beauty with the transparencies and transitional animations. And it's also pretty functional with this deep social networking integration of the Facebook Inside Xperia project. When we add the high pixel density display, the only complaint stays around the camera, whose photos are not what we would expect from an 8 megapixel Exmor R sensor, and the LED light has to be turned on manually instead of serving as an automatic flash. The Sony Ericsson Xperia Arc is more expensive, but not by much, so which way will you go depends on if you're actually looking for a more compact handset, in which case the Xperia Array will fit you like an old shoe. This was a video review of the Sony Ericsson Xperia Array from PhoneArena. For more information about this and other handsets, you can visit us at phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.